have anything in this book about the Olmecs?
I explored the Olmec mystery in considerable depth.
In the heart of southern Mexico, the rainforest hums with life. The air is thick with the scent of wet earth, and beneath the tangled canopy, shadows move between stone and vine. Here, among the roots and rivers, lie the remains of a civilization older than the Aztecs, older than the Maya, the Olmec. Massive basalt heads rise from the ground, their faces carved with precision that defies the tools of their time. Eyes half closed, lips set in silence, they've watched centuries pass in stillness. Archaeologists have measured their features, mapped their sites, cataloged their relics. Yet for all the study, one truth has remained locked away: their language. For decades, no Rosetta Stone, no deciphering key. Just glyphs and patterns scattered on pottery, monuments, and jade amulets. Symbols too alien to match with known scripts. Until now. Inside a secure lab, a quantum computer hums quietly. Its processors are not just fast, they are built to think in ways humans cannot. Into this machine, researchers fed every known Olmec symbol, every fragment, every measurement. At first, the results seemed random. Then, the pattern emerged. Not a word, not even a sentence, but a sequence. It repeated across sites separated by hundreds of miles, buried under centuries of soil. A sequence that shouldn't exist in nature. One that looked eerily similar to the structures found in deep space communication codes. The scientists called it the forbidden equation. And the deeper they pushed the AI to translate, the more the stones began to whisper, not just of kings and gods, but of something far older and far stranger. The first anomaly appeared in the form of numbers, not glyphs, not pictures, numbers. The AI began mapping the Olmec symbols into mathematical values, assigning probabilities to each based on repetition, positioning, and orientation. What emerged was a sequence of prime numbers, an unmistakable hallmark in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Prime numbers don't occur in such order by accident. They're deliberate, intentional, the kind of sequence you'd use to prove intelligence behind a signal. And here they were, carved into ancient stone, centuries before telescopes, satellites, or even written history as we know it. The team should have been ecstatic. Instead, the room grew quiet. Because alongside those prime numbers, the AI uncovered something else, a modulation pattern identical to the one NASA uses to encode deep space messages. It was impossible, and yet the data stared back at them. To make sense of it, the team overlaid the Olmec carvings with astronomical data from the time the stones were created. Slowly, the map revealed itself. Alignments to constellations long forgotten, some no longer visible in our skies. And then came the chilling discovery. The forbidden equation didn't just point to the stars, it pointed to one star in particular, a system over 1,000 light-years away. When they traced the star's historical position, they found something terrifying. At the exact moment the Olmec carved these stones, that star would have been flaring, releasing bursts of energy, the kind of signal that could cross the galaxy. Was it a coincidence? Or had the Olmec not just seen the flare, but been told to record it? The team's attention shifted from numbers to shapes. In the Olmec world, geometry wasn't decoration. It was sacred. Circles, spirals, and jagged lines appeared again and again, cut into jade, painted on pottery, etched into colossal stone blocks. When the AI analyzed these patterns, it detected something uncanny. They matched fractal sequences, self-repeating designs found in nature's most complex systems. Lightning strikes, river networks, and even the branching of neurons in the human brain. It was as if the Olmec had mapped the architecture of both the cosmos and the mind. And then came the breakthrough. By arranging the symbols according to their fractal geometry, the AI unlocked a three-dimensional form, a twisting, looping structure eerily similar to a DNA double helix. Only this helix wasn't built from molecules. It was constructed from astronomical coordinates.
Every strand led to a different star system. Every rung marked a time alignment between celestial bodies. It was a cosmic clock, one that seemed to count down, not forward. The countdown's end date? When the coordinates were converted into our modern calendar, it landed squarely in the year 2025. No one spoke. The only sound in the lab was the low, constant hum of the quantum AI. Because if this cosmic helix was truly a clock, it meant the Olmec hadn't just left us a record. They had left us a warning. The next lead came from a place most archaeologists weren't allowed to visit. Buried beneath layers of volcanic ash in the Gulf Coast lowlands lay a site sealed off for decades, not by nature, but by government decree. Officially, it was too unstable for excavation. Unofficially, the Whispers said something else. Armed with the AI's coordinates, a small field team pushed past resting fences and collapsed entryways. They found themselves standing before an obsidian doorway, its surface so polished that it reflected their torchlight like a black mirror. Across its surface, the Olmec symbols twisted in spirals, so tight they almost seemed to move under the flame. When the team compared these carvings to the AI's database pattern, the match was exact. This chamber had been deliberately built to encode the same sequence found in the cosmic helix. Inside, the air was stale and heavy. The wall shimmered with a mineral film, giving the illusion of starlight trapped underground. And there, at the center, stood an altar, not of stone, but of a metallic alloy no one could identify. The surface of the altar bore a single carving, a star map that perfectly aligned with the countdown's final date. But something was different. One star, the same one from the earlier discovery, had been marked with a symbol the AI couldn't translate. The algorithm's probability output blinked red. The closest modern equivalent? Arrival. A shiver moved through the team, because if the Olmec knew this star was important, then the countdown wasn't marking the end of something, it was marking the beginning. Back in the city, the team brought the altar's star map to a group of astrophysicists. One look at the coordinates and the room went still. That star wasn't just real, it was already under observation by radio telescopes. Over the past 6 months, faint bursts of energy had been detected from its direction. They weren't random, they came in measured intervals, like a ticking clock. But here's the catch. The bursts matched the exact timing intervals encoded in the Olmec helix. The odds of this being a coincidence? Less than 1 in a trillion. When the quantum AI overlaid the signal waveform onto the Olmec glyphs, something impossible happened. The symbols were no longer just visual, they were audible. An audio file was generated. It sounded like wind through a canyon, low and haunting with a faint rhythm underneath, almost like a heartbeat. One scientist, pale and shaking, muttered, This isn't a natural signal." And then the real twist. The AI decoded the pattern as a set of mathematical instructions. The final line? A date and time synced to the Earth's rotation. August 13th, 2025. A date that was now less than a year away. The question nobody wanted to ask out loud was starting to claw its way into every mind. Were the Olmec warning us about a cosmic event or announcing the return of something? Within 48 hours of the star map's confirmation, the research facility was visited by men in suits. No names, no credentials shown. Just an unmarked black folder stamped with a single word, classified. The scientists were told in calm but icy voices that all data related to the Olmec signal now fell under the jurisdiction of a national security directive. Hard drives were confiscated, NDAs were signed under threat of imprisonment. But the most unsettling part? The team was ordered to cease all discussion of the arrival date. One of the younger researchers, still trembling from the encounter, whispered to the AI operator, "They already knew, before we even showed them." And the proof came an hour later. The AI's satellite feed, normally open access, suddenly went dark. Every telescope aimed at the target star was being redirected or shut down worldwide. Officially, the explanation was routine maintenance. Unofficially, it was a cover-up. In the quiet after the storm, one team member couldn't hold it in. "What if this isn't just archaeology anymore?" they asked. "What if the Olmec weren't warning their own people, but warning us, knowing someone else was listening too? And if that's true, then whoever's silencing the research isn't protecting us. They're protecting it." News of the shutdown spread quietly through the academic underground. That's how Dr. Elena Cruz heard about it. A rogue anthropologist who'd spent decades mapping Olmec sites no government had touched. She claimed there was one place the authorities had missed, a site deep in the Veracruz jungle, swallowed by roots and mist, reachable only by river. The expedition was small, just Elena, 2 porters, and a camera drone. Days of paddling brought them to a sheer cliff face where water spilled from a jagged mouth in the rock. Inside, the air was cool and heavy, smelling faintly of iron. Carved into the walls were glyphs so sharp they looked freshly cut. And there, at the chamber center, stood a basalt box, smooth, seamless, untouched by time. When the drone's light passed over it, symbols flared faintly, not painted, but phosphorescent. And the pattern? It matched the quantum AI's decoded helix, but with one addition, a sequence the AI had never seen before. Elena ran her fingers over the glowing lines. They didn't just leave a message. They left the key to read it. The box opened with a soft hiss, as if it had been sealed against the centuries. Inside lay a crystal disk, perfectly transparent, and etched with the same star map, except now there were 2 stars connected by a thin, almost invisible arc. Back at her camp, she scanned it. The AI took minutes, not hours, to process the data. Its verdict was simple, chilling, and absolute. This is a navigation chart, inbound. Elena worked through the night in a makeshift tent, the jungle outside alive with the hum of insects and the distant rumble of storms. The crystal disk's data streamed into the quantum AI, its processors whirring in a low, almost organic hum. Then, the holographic projector flickered to life. In the darkness of the tent, the air filled with light. A slow-moving arc between 2 stars. The AI traced the path with eerie precision. This object is traveling at 0.18 c, 18% the speed of light. Elena felt the breath leave her lungs. "That's impossible," she whispered. The AI disagreed. "It is not only possible, it is scheduled. Arrival in 42 months, 5 days, 16 days. On the hologram, the arc ended at a pinpoint, Earth. But the simulation didn't stop there. It zoomed in, showing gravitational disturbances, ion trails, and what looked like faint, repeating energy pulses. They're broadcasting, not to us, but to someone already here. The AI's voice dropped into what could almost be called a warning. Signal strength is increasing. Estimated surface receiver coordinates.
overlap with multiple Olmec archaeological sites. It meant the truth was worse than anyone had imagined. The Olmec didn't just leave us a code, they built beacons. And those beacons might still be active. Outside the tent, a branch snapped. Not an animal. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Getting closer. Elena killed the projector instantly. The tent fell into blackness. Only the rain's hiss on the tarp and the low growl of the river remained. She reached for her flashlight, but froze. A faint red dot danced on the canvas wall. Laser sight.
She unzipped the side flap instead of the front, sliding silently into the dripping foliage. The air was thick with the smell of wet leaves and mud. Through the curtain of rain, she saw them. 3 figures in matte black rain gear, moving in perfect coordination. Not locals, not looters. Professional. One knelt where her AI terminal had been moments before. Another swept the tent with a scanning device. The third simply stood still, head tilted, as if listening for her heartbeat. Elena's mind raced. She had 2 choices. Head for the river and risk being seen, or go deeper into the jungle, into territory even she hadn't mapped. A distant thunder gave her cover. She slipped away into the dark undergrowth, every step sinking into the sponge-like earth. Behind her, a voice called out in a language she didn't know, but the tone was unmistakable. They weren't here to steal. They were here to make sure she never left with what she'd found. Her pack felt heavier now, not from the disk's weight, but from the knowledge it carried. And somewhere ahead, unseen, the jungle roared with something far older than any human. Elena ran till her lungs burned. Branches whipped her face, roots clawed at her boots, and every breath tasted of copper and rain. Somewhere behind, the black-clad pursuers moved like ghosts, their footfalls nearly silent. Only the occasional metallic click of a rifle bolt told her they were still there. She reached the riverbank, a churning, swollen beast of brown water. No boat, no bridge, no time. The AI terminal in her pack vibrated. Against all reason, she pulled it out. The screen lit her face in pale blue light. Incoming transmission. Static at first. Then, a voice. Low, resonant, not quite human. Speaking in Olmec, but the AI translated in real time. You have awakened the signal. They are coming for it. But they are not the first. The jungle fell eerily silent. Even the rain seemed to pause. If you wish to live, the voice continued, bury the disk where the sun and moon meet, or the beacons will answer. Then a final sound, a tone like metal singing under stress that made her bones ache. The screen went black. From the tree line across the river, 2 lights appeared. Not flashlights. Not human. Gliding slowly above the ground. Elena had seconds to decide. Run into the jungle and face the men, or cross the river toward whatever those lights belonged to. The story ends here, for now.